All right. Hello, everyone. Hi. Today, I will talk about vibrational inertia. I just realized this is the right word to put it. In other words, how our habits, how our past forms our future. Of course, everybody knows by now. By now, that now is the only time that exists. Everything that happens in the past is basically a light show in our head, right? These are just shadows that we projected on the wall of our brains. And we replay them at our will in order to predict what will happen, even though it never happened. Vibrational inertia. So we tend to think of our space, of our alignment in 3D space as a point. All right, we're somewhere on X, Y, Z axes aligned with these, and we can, thanks to that, we can tell our position in space, right? It's not very often we need to think of our velocity and acceleration. This sounds very much like physics. You know what? I should probably start drawing. So let's imagine 3 dimensions, or maybe 2 dimensions, because we have two-dimensional whiteboard and a very zen marker. Let's change color from transparent to red. Okay, so let's say we're here. Doesn't matter, you know, what was the scale or whatnot. It's just that we're here at point, right? And at some point, at some point in time, this point starts moving. If we slice time into tiny slices, we'll see this point here and here and here and here, and we'll track the movement of this point. But each time we look at it, it is just that. It is a point rather than a vector, rather than a movement stretched in time. So if you were a, say, 4-dimensional creature, an entity that sees time as just another dimension, wherever you look at this point, you could, for example, turn your head to face the past and see this point as it was 10 seconds ago, or turn your head to the future and see where this point will be 10 seconds from now. Right, let's imagine that. And therefore extrapolate what sort of vector this point represents. Now this will be important the concept of being aligned to some sort of set of coordinates is one thing, but the concept of moving through it, progressing through it in one direction or another is another, and it's actually quite important. Alright, let's delete. The battery life on this one is amazing. Great screen. Okay, so what next? We know we have 3-dimensional representation in physical world, right? So I will wrap these dimensions into just a single point for the sake of simplicity. So whatever is represented by point is somebody standing in X, Y, Z, right? Somebody standing right here, right in this point, doesn't really matter. But what matters to me is time. And V for velocity. No, V for vibration. Okay, let's say here's level 200. So 200 is kind of baseline, right? This is the commonly assumed division between low vibrational and high vibrational. Okay, anyway, it doesn't really matter too much. Instead of vibration, we could be talking about a habit of keeping your house clean, or any sort of permanence of neural pathway, or something like that. Anyway, let's start. This is today. Let's say right now it's today, and we're starting at 200. Okay, we're just a normal person going about their daily life, and all of a sudden we have a traumatic event that causes some sort of fear reaction, right? It's at this level. What happens now is this has gravitational pull. So our vibration, what we are at, our emotional state can actually touch this for a moment, but what we are, what we represent, our inertia, is just deflected by it. All right, it gets deflected for the duration of this event, and it continues on. Yes, it's slightly lower now because we've been affected by it permanently, let's say. And if somebody lives on this level permanently, the very fear-bound lifestyle, eventually this will become their true nature, right? Whenever I say go to your 0 point, go to your level of neutrality, they will find themselves gravitating towards this level. All right, but let's say our protagonist has the fortunate life of not being constantly in fear. So kind of vibration dropped, yes, it's a bit lower, then meditates a bit, vibration goes tiny bit up, and yeah, so for example, a short event like meditation would be really tiny, it would move the needle slightly higher, but that's about it, right? If it repeats each time, it will move it a tiny bit higher, right? Think of it as something that exerts its own pull, right? It's its own gravitational field. So you are for a moment here, and therefore this moves whatever you are. Any sort of life-changing event, be it epiphanous enlightenment event, or death of a loved one, or a car accident, or winning the lottery. It's not necessarily the best thing that can happen to a person, actually. Can just cut this line and restart you at a completely different spot, change your personality completely. Right? You can become a new person, either super fearful one, super guilty, ridden by plenty of negative emotions, or one that just starts living with joy and fulfillment. And sometimes, spiritual teachings are actually aiming for that, just to cut this off and say, okay, whatever happened in your past is no longer relevant. This is your new life now, and you're starting it right here. Right? These are new rules that you'll follow. This is a new personality we're installing for you. And that's it. It's time to start, turn a new leaf, start a new chapter. Okay, but what about the inertia thing? What I wanted to say is that by consistently adjusting your habits, and that's an Aristotelian idea, right? That we are a collection of our habits. By consistently adjusting them, but being persistent in your habit, either in a habit of being fearful and guilt-ridden, or loving and well, grateful, I guess, you will start shifting whatever is your neutral position. And that stone state, whenever I say go to your neutral, to your zero, you'll find yourself in the state that's akin to meditative, to meditation, to the state of your mind that you will find in meditation, right? So by putting in the effort every day, meditating a tiny bit, it's like a hygiene for your mind and soul. You will find yourself that this is your normal, and your reality, your timeline, your universe, the way you program is not the best word, but let's use it here. Program your reality will correspond to this. Will correspond to whatever is your new baseline, all right? So that's actually an important thing. If you're meditating, you're doing plenty of good stuff, right? But your zero is here. There's a big gap between these. So the universe will test you. Will test, okay, are you really there? Will test you with something here. And if you react this way, maybe you remember from my previous video that the first couple of seconds, this blink, the split eye reaction that you have to whatever comes to you. If you react this way, you crash your car and you go like, wow, I'm so lucky I survived. This was an amazing experience. Then you survived the test. Then you survived the test of car crash by responding with high vibration. And then you can leap like that, all right? Leap. Then you will find yourself reinforcing this. This is huge reinforcement if you survive this test. If you pass this test. So, to summarize, it's difficult to change habits that you've been forming through decades in like one day, in one go. It's pretty difficult, even if you tell yourself, okay, from this moment on, I quit smoking. There's plenty of inertia there, plenty of habits of socially bound programming scripts that are super difficult to reverse. And even cutting off everybody that was dragging you down, every toxic relationship that you may have suffered through, is still not enough to turn everything around in a blink of an eye. However, if you're consistent and if you're consciously observing your mind, if you consciously work on how you perceive the challenges that are put in front of you, each time you will reinforce your anchor in the vibrational plane that you aspire to. Be it if you want to be a super fearful person, you need to practice being really afraid of really everything. And eventually, the universe will throw something absolutely brilliant at you, and you need to respond with being afraid of it. And that will work, and you will become even better grounded in your fear. And vice versa. If you want to aspire to love and gratitude, you will find the universe reacting in the opposite to test it. If you're really in this vibration, if this is your new level 0 ground, and if it is so, it will reinforce your position in this vibration if you respond to it in the new you. All right. I hope I didn't confuse the matter even worse. But something tells me that graph description of how it changes will actually help some people. All right. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being here.